Is my voice audible? Hello? Lakshmi Aishwarya, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so in the previous class, the handoff is nothing but transferring of all that we started to discuss class, move from one base station to another base station while a mobile is moving. So for this handoff to initiated, generally there should be a minimum power level. It should maintain. The mobile equipment has to maintain a minimum power level to maintain a call. So if the power level is going beyond that limit, then the handoff will be initiated. So this power drop is due to the mobility of the mobile equipment at a particular speed. So we already know that the power is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So as the distance is getting increased, the power is reduced square root the times, so that at a particular point the power will be completely dropped off, so that the call may be terminated. So in order to overcome this, handoff strategy is introduced. So this expression will give you a threshold value where the handoff has to be initiated. So this is a small diagram which illustrates how the handoff is occurring. And here there are two different scenarios we are going to see. One is improper handoff situation where the call is getting terminated, and another one, the proper handoff situation where the handoff is properly accomplished and the call is being continued. So in the first diagram, you can see that the graph shows that the time versus received signal level, that is the power. Similarly, the graph 2 shows that the same values, time versus the received signal level. And here there are two cells, assuming that this is cell 1 and this one is cell 2, and the cell 1 is provided wireless service by base station 1 and cell 2 is provided service by base station 2. Now the mobile equipment is moving from the point A, the location A, to location B. So here at the point location A, the mobile station is getting service from the base station 1. So at a particular power level, that is the level at point A. So now if the mobile equipment is moving from the point A to point B in this direction, then normally the power level, as the distance increases, the power level is getting reduced. So at this particular point, actually the handoff has to occur in this particular point. So that power level is called as the handoff threshold value. If the mobile equipment is moving further and the handoff is not initiated, then the power level is getting down as the distance between the mobile equipment and the base station 1 is getting very large. And it will drop below the minimum acceptable signal to maintain a call, and at a particular level, at point B, the power level is very minimum, so that it cannot maintain the call. So the call is getting terminated. So this was happened in the case of scenario 1. In scenario 2, at this particular point, at the edge of cell, whenever the power level reaches the handoff threshold value, the system, the mobile switching center, is properly handoff in all the channels from base station 1 to base station 2, so that the distance between the mobile equipment and the base station 2 is getting reduced as the mobile user is moving towards the base station 2, so that the power level is drastically increased, so that it can continuously increasing as it's moving towards the base station, so that the call is getting continued. So these are all the two scenarios where the proper, due to the improper handoff, the call is getting terminated, and another one the case is if proper handoff is occurred at the threshold point, then the call is getting continued. And the time in which the call is being maintained without the handover, then that particular time is called as dwell time. Actually, the dwell time is determined by different factors such as propagation, interference, distance between the subscriber and the base station, and other time varying channel parameters. In the first generation systems, actually the signal strength measurements are made by the base stations, and the handoff are initiated and accomplished by the mobile switching center. Due to this, the computational overload has been occurred in the mobile switching center. So in mobile switching, in the base station, there is a special equipment called as RSSI measurement instruments, which are located at the receiver. So as the base stations measures the power from various mobile equipment, then it has to initiate the handoff based on the decision made by the mobile switching center. So the base station will be calculating all the powers, the power received signal strength from the mobile equipment, and all these informations will be transmitted to the mobile switching center, so that the mobile switching center will decide whether the handoff has to be occurred from between base station 1 to base station 2 has been done or not. That was the critical scenario. Due to that, the computational load has been increased at the mobile switching center, and moreover, due to this, there will be there were strongest delay between the waiting time for providing the channel move over from one base station to the another base station. So from the second generation system onwards, as the digital TDMA technology has been introduced, this kind of received signal strength measurement has been given to the mobile equipment. So that is why the technique is called as mobile assisted handoff, so that the base station need not to have much more RSSI measurement equipment, so that individual receiver, the mobile equipment, can able to have this RSSI measuring equipment, so that it can measure the received signal strength, and it will inform the base station to provide the handoff or not. And moreover, all the mobile equipment can able to measure the received signal strength from different base station in their vicinity. So that the computational complexity will not be a biggest burden to the base station and the mobile switching center. The only thing is that the mobile equipment is going to initiate the handoff, request the handoff to the base station. If the handoff is being acknowledged, then the handoff is getting done. This was the scenario has occurred in the second generation systems. And moreover, it is this kind of MAGO technique is particularly suited for microcellular environments, so that where the handoff is more frequent. There is another type of handoff, intersystem handoff. So this intersystem handoff is occurred if a mobile equipment is moving from one cellular system to a different cellular system or a different mobile switching center, where then this intersystem handoff may occur. And in this intersystem handoff, all the parameters, while the channels are being assigned between two different base stations of two different service providers, then the parameters that each base station has to be maintained, that is modulation index and what kind of modulation it is being followed, all the encryption standards, encoding, decoding standards, all the physical layer standards, MAC layer standards has to be matched between the base station of the old cellular system and the base station of the new cellular system. So the compatibility is the important issue in the inter-system handoff, where it has been drastically given concern, and various technologies have been introduced, and the improvisation in inter-system handoff has been done during the third generation and fourth generation systems. The prioritization of handoff, generally, the handoff is not only initiated when the mobile equipment is moving from one cell region to the another cell region, but whenever the power level is getting dropped automatically, then the mobile equipment will be searching a new base station which is having the strongest signal. In that way, if a mobile user is completely deprived of their mobile equipment from the base station, whether they are in the underground or whether they are in the hiding position behind a building, such kind of scenarios may create a complete vanishing of signals from the original existing base station within the cell. So at that time, if suppose the base station, a new base station is providing a sufficient signal strength larger than the existing base station, then the handoff may possibly be initiated. So at that time, the handoff should be prioritized. So this kind of scenario may frequently occur. So the mobility kind of scenario is essential, but for these kinds of scenario, if the handoff is essential, then it can be occurred. Similarly, the another issue is the persons who are all maintaining the calls and who are all not having the calls. So for that, if the call is being dropped for that persons, for that mobile equipment, the higher priority has to be given. So these are all the different constraints how the handoff is prioritized. So for this, there are several God channel concept is given. So some kind of reverse channels exclusively available for handoff, which is not used them for call initiation. Say suppose for whenever a mobile equipment is entering into the new base station, so every base station has some allocated bandwidth and particularly for handoff to occur for channel transfer. While the channel is getting transfer, it may either use the same frequency or it may use the frequencies which are allotted to the particular base station or which is currently in use. So for this, there is no disadvantage in this kind of dynamic channel allocation. As already we discussed in the previous classes, the dynamic channel allocation strategy is much better than the fixed channel allocation strategy in increasing the capacity. And these kinds of, while more number of handoff requests are arriving from the mobile equipment, then prioritization of handoff is a kind how what mobile equipment has to be provided handoff initially. That was the first thing. Before prioritizing the handoff, all the requests has to be queued up, so that if the request arrives from the first mobile equipment, suppose if we say that n number of mobile equipment are requesting the say for example n is the number of mobile equipment requesting handoff, right? And M is the available number of channels in the new base station. And assuming that if N is less than M, then if a queue is being maintained, then there should be the probability of waiting as maximum. If suppose at one point of time, if N is very minimum when compared to M, then the handoff may not be properly initiated, and then there will be a forced termination of the call. So for queuing this handoff, there should be a trade-off between the probability of forced termination and total carried traffic. So in order to overcome this, queuing is considered so the time available between the threshold power level and the handoff power level, where we have already seen here. So in between these two levels, in between these two levels, the queues are the handoff requests are queued up and priority is given. And here the queue size and the delay time are related to a particular cellular geographical area and the base station and the number of channels assigned to the base stations and other kinds of different parameters associated with the service. And moreover, this queuing technology of handoff prioritization does not guarantee that all the calls are being provided with the handoff strategies, but anyhow, it will not guarantee zero probability of call drop. So let us discuss about the practical handoff strategies. So there are different mobile equipment attaining mobility in a different speed. Say for example, pedestrians who are all walking along a road may be moving at a speed of 3 kilometer per hour to 10 kilometer per hour, and high speed vehicles like bike kind of things may move a maximum velocity of 60 kilometer to 80 kilometer per hour. Cars may move from 80 to 120 kilometer per hour. Similarly, if train means, say for example, Rajdhani Express or Vande Bharat Express, it may be moving from 200 kilometers per hour to 350 kilometers per hour. So, for these different category of mobility attaining users, the handoff has to be satisfying the criteria, which means for pedestrians, handoffs are rarely occurring, and for high-speed moving vehicles, the handoff are frequently occurring. And moreover, this also depends on the dimension of the cell too. If the cell is very small, then handoff is frequently occurring. If the cell is large area, then the handoffs will be rarely occurring. So in order to have a trade-off on all these aspects, a new cell site is obtained practically with the help of several concepts. So that can be called as zoning, ordinance, and laws, which are all barriers to the new cell sites. And here, let us discuss a small concept called as umbrella cell concept, in which there is a cell for these two user groups in which the handoffs are commonly occurring between the pedestrians and the high-speed mobile equipments. So within the cell, there are some micro cells are available. So the large cell is called as the umbrella cell. So for pedestrians, so these microcells will be providing, they can able to move from one location to another location at a constant, small, very lesser speed, so that they can use these kinds of microcells. Whereas for fast moving vehicles, the umbrella cell will be used to provide the service, so that the base station, the large power transmitters will be providing the service to the high speed vehicles, whereas the low power transmitters providing service in the microcellular regions are providing service to the pedestrians, in order to have a trade-off between the handoff between the pedestrians and the high speed vehicles. Then is umbrella cell approach. So this umbrella cell approach minimizes the number of handoff for the high-speed users and also provide microcells for pedestrians. And moreover, this kind of umbrella cell approach is very much useful in estimating the speed, so that based on that the received power calculations are also very much efficiently computed with some kind of sophisticated algorithms. Then cell dragging. So cell dragging, if suppose you consider two different base stations, say this is this is a cell area A, assuming this is cell area B, and a mobile equipment is moving from base station A to base station, cell A to cell B to cell A. Okay, so in this region, if suppose the terrain profile does not have much obstacles, so that the complete line of sight will be between the mobile equipment to the base station, then even though if the pedestrian is entering into the cell A, the base station of the corresponding cell B will be able to provide service. So which means the frequency allotted for the cellular region B is dragged into the cellular region A. This concept is called as cell dragging. This is not an exact dragging. This is called as a virtual dragging. So for this to, in order to overcome this kind of cell dragging effects, the thing is that we have to adjust the parameters of handoff threshold and other radio coverage parameters depending on the location of the base station. So that's all about the handoff strategies. So is there any doubt? So a small recall. I'm going to fastly recall what are all the things we discussed in the handoff. So handoff means switching over of all the voice channels and the data channels from one base station to the another base station, while the mobile equipment is moving from one cellular region to the another cellular region. That is called as handoff. So in order to attain this handoff, a proper threshold level has to be met. If the received signal strength is going beyond that threshold power level, the system has to be initiating the handoff. And we have discussed two different scenarios. For one is improper handoff situation and another one is proper handoff situation. And we've seen an important parameter called as dwell time, the time over which a call is being maintained within a cell by the same base station without any initiation of any handoff. So the handoff in first generation is done by base station as well as the mobile switching center. So the base station is calculating the received signal strength, and the mobile switching center will decide the initiation of the handoff. So this increased the burden of computational complexity in mobile switching center. So it created a largest delay where the call is getting terminated, so that it is avoided in the second generation system by allocating the received signal strength calculation to the mobile. So that this technique is called as mobile assisted handoff, so that the mobile switching center does not have any kind of burden. So mobile can initiate the request for handoff, the base station can acknowledge it, and the proper handoff can be accomplished, so that the delays are reduced. Intersystem handoff means from one mobile switching center to another mobile switching center, or from one cellular service to another cellular service, handoff is being occurred. Then it is called as intersystem handoff. For that, all the parameters of the old service provider to the new service provider has to be matched. So that is the important concern here. The prioritizing the handoff is depending on the users really moving, and if the users are getting static and deprived of from the base station, so all these kinds of parameters are considered in prioritizing the handoffs by dynamic channel assignments. While prioritizing this, the handoff request has to be queued up in order to reduce the probability of forced terminations. So in which the number of handoff request arrival and the number of channels really available for initiating the handoffs are playing a vital role in it, and also the other parameters too. So there are several practical handoff scenarios, as the velocity of each and every mobile equipment is differing from pedestrian to the high-speed vehicle. For pedestrians, there is a microcell zoning concepts are there, and for the high-power transmitters are used for fast-moving vehicles. And another concept we discussed is the cell dragging. That means the handoff is not properly initiated, even though the same channel is being used in the another base station in the case of pedestrians. So for this, some parameters like handoff threshold and radio coverage parameters need to be adjusted in order to overcome these issues. So these are all the things we discussed today. So in the next class, we shall discuss about the interferences and system capacity. So I shall post a quiz to your group, solve the quizzes. And also, I would like to urge all of you to register this Qualcomm Academy 5G University Program registration. I shall share this link to you through WhatsApp group. All of you can register in it. So this will be considered for course outcome calculation. Thank you for your patient listening. If you are having any doubts, you can ask, or otherwise we shall wind up the meeting. Shall we wind up the meeting? Okay.